Hello and welcome back to the Puncher's Chance podcast, and welcome to the preview show where we're having a look forward at, of course, Eubank versus Benn, that big card, as well as the new DAZN pricing agreement, all that good stuff. This is our only podcast we're bringing you this week, so subscribe for more stuff. 2 podcasts every week, normally straight into the action.
We're back. Podcast 150.
Yeah, 150. Yeah, tap ourselves on the back. Quick one.
Raise our bat. If
all that good stuff. Chris Eubank, Connor Benn. The rematch, number 2, obviously, Eubank Jr. won the first one, points decision. First article we wrote for our magazine, which you can see at the front there if you're on the video version. We criticised this, or you did in particular, Ben, so I'm going to come over to you. How are you feeling on this fight?
I am looking forward to it, to be fair. Like, there's such big names in the sport that it's hard not to look forward to it, but I've been surprised with it's almost felt quite quiet, the build-up to this rematch. Like, considering how much noise and all the drama there was around the first fight. This lead up, well, obviously we're going into fight week now, so we might ramp up a bit this week depending on once the two of them get face-to-face with each other. I did watch a face-to-face they done the other day, I think, with DAZN, and straight away, we talked previously about how Connor Benn's trying to keep his head, but I've told you before, once you've got that personality type within you where you switch, there's no getting away from that. That's your natural reaction.
And when the man in front of you is Chris Eubank Jr., who in the nicest way possible is such a pain. He's so irritating. Like, I really like him, but if you didn't like him and he was your sort of mortal sworn enemy from birth, you would despise him. He is so irritating in the best way possible. It's a recipe for disaster in terms of you're not going to hold your tongue in that situation.
It's quite rare as well that we're sort of seeing a rematch in this sort of case, isn't it? You know, how comfortably, for me, Chris Eubank Jr. won on that night back in April. Such a brutal first meeting between the pair. And you just look back to that fight and it was just fantastic. You were there. And ever since we talked about it, I've always said I'm jealous of Ben because he was there on probably one of the best nights of British boxing in a very, very long time. And I go back to what I just said. It's a rare rematch because I didn't see it happening. And Ben talked about it in the magazine that is still available.
Yeah, it's still available. You can drop us a message. Actually, do you know what? Quick one. If you guys are listening on the podcast and you want to get hold of the magazine, there's most of the stuff some of the stuff's past, some of it's still relevant. Drop us a message. If you let us know you've come from the podcast, we'll give you a discount on it. Send it over your way. But
10%?
Yeah, you more. Why not? Yeah. I'll do free postage, all sorts. You said about you criticised this and you basically said it was going to happen.
Yeah.
But you didn't want to see it. Is that still the way you feel that really? Or on the other hand, is this actually probably the most interesting fight out there for both fighters at this stage?
Yeah.
I just feel like this. I am excited for the fight on Saturday, but I feel like it's not going to live up to the first fight that night. That's going to live with me forever, being there in that stadium. It was just the way it all unfolded. You know, Chris Eubank Sr. turning up and that image itself just made the night. But even that we weren't necessarily sure how the fight was going to go, whether who was going to win necessarily, or whether it'd be an entertaining fight at all, right? The fight itself as well just delivered again, so it just made the whole sort of the build-up, the fight night, everything just felt like a perfect sort of British boxing story, and I felt personally they could have probably left it at that, and they'd have different routes to go down, you know, in terms of, because they are fighters at different weight classes. I think Connor Benn should have gone back to 147 now and tried to get his world title there. Eubank should have probably looked to push on for, and especially looking at what's happened with Canelo and the fact that the super middleweight belts have fragment, or probably are likely to fragment now. Like, that would have opened up doors for him to get his first proper world title in his career. So, but it's the hypocritical thing as well of I'm definitely going to be sat down on Saturday night watching it and excited to see what happens again. So you can see why, and financially why it makes sense for both of them to get the rematch on.
Do you really think that Chris Eubank Jr. after that fight could have really gone on and fought someone else? Or do you reckon he still had unfinished business, even though, like I said, he comfortably won the first fight?
I think he had unfinished business in the sense of his accountant is probably saying, you know, maybe do another Connor Benn fight. And absolutely fair play. You know, if you're going to be fighting, And let's be real, that there is obviously, we've seen that in the first fight, and I think we'll get onto that. There is huge health risks in boxing, and even more so in this fight, perhaps than others. And Chris Eubank Jr. has been paid handsomely for that risk. And I can see why, absolutely why, that you want to take it again. Because if you're going to get in there, you're going to risk your life regardless of who you're fighting, then you're going to want to get paid pretty handsomely for it. And this is a fight, probably the bar being able to convince Canelo to fight you, this is as lucrative a payday as Chris Eubank Jr. is likely to get in his career. So I absolutely see why he's taken it from that point of view. I don't think he's got anything left to prove. I think he proved he's a better boxer than Connor Benn. He proved he has heart and grit and determination. I think he's a lot tougher than people thought. I also think, on the other hand, Connor Benn was a lot better than people thought he would be. Made it. You said comfortable, and I think it was comfortable on the scorecard, but it wasn't. It was far from a comfortable night for Chris Eubank. He really had to fight for that, and the mentality that he showed to win that fight was very impressive. So I think both men have nothing left to prove, and yet they almost have everything left to prove to themselves in terms of they still both think they can win this. I think Chris Eubank Jr. is going to think, I can absolutely knock out Connor Benn because I can take his best shot, as dehydrated as I've ever been, etc., etc. And Connor Benn's going to be thinking, I wasn't that bad against him. I can catch him with that one good shot. I can knock him out clean. And so from that point of view, I can see absolutely why. Beyond the business sense, which we've obviously talked about, why this fight.
I feel like it's on Chris Eubank Jr. though, a little bit in this fight, with all this sort of dehydration, the weight and all. It's on him. He's made the decision to go, he could have easily gone, no, that weight cut and what happened after that fight, I don't want to go through again. But it's on him now, ain't it? He's accepted the terms. He's accepted what is to possibly come after the fight. Let's hope both of them are, fit and healthy after it. But it's on him if, something comes up after the fight where he's back in hospital afterwards and all that. So,
or perhaps he's looking at it as he has now seen where he has gone wrong in that weight cut.
True. Yeah.
If he always intended to take this rematch, then he can plan ahead. He can get himself in the right position, and maybe he feels that he can do it in a safer way, and therefore be an even greater advantage over Connor Benn, is the way that he may be seeing it. And I think it is interesting because the weight was such a big talking point in that first fight. Is Chris Eubank Jr. going to be too big? Is Connor Benn going to be able to fill out at the weight? Is he going to have the power at the weight? And actually going into this one, there's almost as many questions as there was in the first fight. I'm no more confident that Chris Eubank Jr. can fill out at a middleweight and still fight healthy. And I'm no more confident that Connor Benn has shown he has any great degree of power at middleweight. But equally, Chris Eubank Jr. showed a great chin in that fight. So I'm as equally intrigued result-wise, even though I think the same thing will happen again.
I think this rematch is a lot closer than the first fight.
Do you think?
Yeah, I think it's a lot more competitive because I think Ben's going to grow up into this weight. And I think Chris Eubank, again, is going to struggle with the weight cut because you can't just go, he messed up on the weight, going down to 160 and then easily make 160 then in the rematch. I think it's always going to be a struggle. And, how many fighters have we seen in the past that, have struggled at the weight and then just gone, you know what, I'm moving up. I'm not going to fight at that weight anymore. Is ruined me and all. So
yeah, but equally, he did do that, and he beat him in that state,
and he was technically overweight as well.
I think,
was it, a 0.5?
It was 0.5, and then it was like 0.1 or whatever in the end. But yeah, it was. I think Connor will know now more about. I think his own ego cost him in the first fight. That he genuinely believed that shot was going to come regardless. Well, he was going to knock out Chris Eubank. And hopefully someone's got him round and said, look, that shot won't just come. This is how you make it happen. And so I think he might come into this a smarter fighter. He may end up just resetting to factory settings when it comes to a scrap. And I don't think we often see that, but that's how I think. I think his own ego was his biggest downfall.
Well, I think he said that himself in the interviews in the lead up to this, when he was questioned on what he thought went wrong, he was honest in saying that he felt too emotional on the night and didn't stick to the game plan that they had set. It turned from the game plan of trying to win rounds turned into I go out every single round just trying to knock him out, and that's ultimately what cost him. So it will be interesting to see if he can stick to a game plan this weekend, if he's a lot more cautious and treats every round individually in terms of, I just need to win this round and then win enough rounds to win the fight. And if he can keep a level head enough to maybe have the clarity to, I don't need to knock him out, I just need to win the fight. But it comes back to where we started. When you are such a emotional person, wears your heart on your sleeve, and you get so frustrated so easily, I don't know if he is going to be able to keep that mindset throughout the 12 rounds, especially when, because he is a type of fighter that likes to throw big punches, if he does throw one that does land and does seem to hurt Eubank Jr., I think it's going to be difficult for him to hold himself back then. It's going to be that killer instinct of, I've got to go for it now, and then you never know how that plays out. He could get a stoppage, or he could completely burn himself out, and then it leaves him vulnerable the other way then. But yeah, I think it's still really intriguing in terms of how the fight could play out. I think there is a number of ways that either fighter could win.
I think as well, what's quite interesting with that whole time, we spoke about this hugely in the build-up, about it was that we felt Chris's level head was what was going to win in the fight. And I spoke to Adam Smith, and he said, you know, he is the far more level-headed, he's the far calmer. And he didn't go as far to give a prediction, but he just fell short of saying, and that's why I think he's going to win. And that was a huge talking point. But there is an argument to be said that Connor Benn is the fighter he is, and is as impressive as he is, and has had the knockouts he has had because of who he is. And you will never beat a calm man at a calm fight. That's not your fight to have. You almost have to win it your way. And whether that's going to be enough is a different point. But I don't think you will ever beat Chris Eubank Jr. at a boxing fight if you're Connor Benn. I personally, and it might be disrespectful to Connor Benn, I just don't believe the ability is there to do that. I think if he is going to beat Chris, he is going to have to draw him into a fight. He's going to have to rough him up, and he's going to have to find that shot. And for me, and again, I might be wrong. He might go on and put a clinic. I don't know.
120 ring away,
and just dance on him. But I don't see it happening. And I think if he was to beat him, it would be by being Connor Benn. It wouldn't by being someone else.
I think he needs to land that shot, doesn't he? And like, sometimes it feels 50-50 on whether it happens. Like, we've seen it with other fight. Well, one of the perfect examples we've seen most recently is Fabio Wardley. Is just, I think with certain fighters, he knows he's not going to outbox him, but he can dish out enough punishment. And if he lands those big shots, obviously the difficult thing that Connor Benn finds himself in is he's fighting a fighter naturally 2 weight classes bigger. So you've really got to land flush on the button for those same shots that would work at 147 to work at 160. So that's the other obstacle he's got when he's trying to fight in that style as well.
Yeah. It's all of it is very interesting. One of the other sort of things that have come out of this is obviously Chris doing what he does on social media, showing the footage of Matchroom in his mind or his eyes blocking his ambulance from leaving the stadium. And obviously we're not going to get into a conversation about whether or not Eddie stopped the ambulance, because
it's not conclusive enough.
I don't know. B, that's just not for me to say. I wasn't there. But it is interesting because we haven't seen, I don't think, quite as much back and forth in the build up to this fight. But actually, that is one of the ways that they're trying to kind of get one up on each other. And to be fair, like you say, it wasn't conclusive. It doesn't look great. That whether or not they've stopped it or not, an ambulance should be able to leave a stadium with someone who needs to go to hospital as fast as possible. There shouldn't be any hold up, regardless of purposeful, accidental, mismanagement, But it's just, it's another level of bite, isn't it? It's a bit more that we haven't necessarily seen. And we're recording this quite early in fight week. So, well, knowing our luck, something will happen.
Something's going to happen, especially the press conference. I think whenever you see a Chris Eubank Jr. press conference, since that one where he went at Frank Smith, Frank Warren and Eddie Hearn on the Better BF Bivol undercard, they're always sort of the ones where you sort of, right, stop what you're doing, let's put this on and let's watch what he's got to say, because he comes out with some some great stuff and stuff that you go, ooh, he could be in a little bit of trouble here if he. And then obviously we had statements after his comments about Frank Warren, but I feel like as well, Connor Benn has to be and will be. I feel like he's going to be a lot calmer this week. I think you look at that face-off. You touched on that.
I don't think.
I don't know, because I when I was at the second press conference for the first
Fight week now, or
no, this was when they did the Manchester and then the London one, and I was in the London one in the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, and it was after the whole egg incident, and you could tell from the get-go, Connor's mind is, I'm gonna stay calm. I'm not gonna bite on anything. I'm gonna stay calm. I'm gonna stay level. But Chris found a way. He started going at Nigel Benn. He started going at his old man. Connor bit, and even Nigel there going, I don't need you to fight my battles, Connor. But he couldn't help himself. And I actually just don't.
And he went for Ben Shalom as well.
Mentally, I don't think it's worth it. I think you're taming a beast that doesn't necessarily need taming. You know, just go out there and be yourself. That's the only way you're ever going to beat anyone.
I think you're just going to hear him go, shut up, Chris, a lot and all that. And I think that's just him trying to go, right, you're not getting in my head this time. But he's obviously going to. And it's going to be interesting as well to see if he allows Eddie Hearn to speak.
Of course not. No. He's set precedent. But interestingly, Eddie's down as the only promoter on BoxRec.
Yeah.
Ben Shalom and Boxer are not currently, albeit you've got, and we'll get on to that in a little short while as well. You've got Adam Azim on the undercard as well, obviously as a boxer fighter. So, but he's not credited as a promoter at this stage. Makes you think.
Maybe there's some small print in the contracts. You know?
Maybe we'll find out more in Fight Week about where Chris Eubank lies.
Or BoxRec isn't always Bible as well. You know, we've done plenty of talking about BoxRec and then it turned out to just be some kind of error or something.
Talking about Fight Week though on the press conferences, do you think Senior is there at all? I know they've said he's going to be there for fight night. I am praying the both fathers are there for a press conference.
I don't think so because he's. I swear I've read somewhere that, or I think he might have been on Good Morning Britain last week, and Chris Eubank Jr. said that his father wants him to retire. He wanted him to retire after that first fight. So who knows? He's obviously going to be at, you know.
Yeah, I don't know.
I would like it. He did also spend weeks in the lead up to the first fight saying that he thought it was a disgrace or whatever else, and then
a little phone call allegedly, phone call probably turned his.
It was. It would be magic if he was. It would be magic if he was. It would be disappointing if he isn't. But we'll have to wait and see.
That's box office in itself.
Oh yeah, that's pay-per-view worthy.
For how quiet it's been in the lead up to this rematch, that's all you need is for them to show up at the press conferences this week and get something from both fathers, and that will be enough to ignite it.
Even just a picture as well. Having that picture front page or wherever it goes of just the two fathers, there's two sons in between would be pretty
catches your imagination, don't it?
Yeah, we'll get on to predictions and a bit more talk at the end.
Thank God, I thought we were going on straight away.
The rest of the card, because it is quite a good card. You got Adam Azim versus Kurt Scobie, which is obviously a late call-up opponent after his last opponent dropped out. Scobie is a difficult operator, holds quite good rankings. His only loss came in a surprise defeat, stoppage defeat to a fighter you would have expected him to beat on paper, which I don't claim to know too much about. But, you know, it's another fight that if Adam Azim wins, he's putting himself in really, really strong spot. I think he's the IBO world champion anyway, or he was. He hasn't fought in a little while.
It's on a good run as well, Adam Azim. Just looking here, you know, Sergey Lipinets, last time out, 9th round finish. Great finish in that. And then O'Hara Davis. That was that first sort of little step up. So he's on a decent run. Who was he meant to fight on this card? Because he wasn't meant to be this bloke, was it?
It was a Russian fighter whose name has escaped me.
But he was the fighter that, it could have been his management, I could be wrong here, that said that they haven't signed for the fight. But then
Abdullayev,
that's it.
That's who he was supposed to be fighting. Who I think fought just the other week as well, actually. I don't know what that was about.
But it's good to see him back out because he hasn't been active as much as we probably would have wanted him to be active this year. But obviously Boxer and their Sky deal and all that probably ruined his activity. But it's great to see him back out. I just hope now that, I believe Dalton Smith's got a press conference this week over in New York. Again, I think Matthias?
Matthias, yeah.
Win there. There's a next big fight 2026
That'd be
for
a
British
really good
boxer.
fight. I was shocked the boxer kept Adam Azim.
Yeah. Especially
Really
after there was the mess around on the Callum Simpson card. He's meant to be fighting, then he wasn't, and all this, and there's plenty of sort of messy stuff with that. But yeah, I was surprised that he stayed with.
That was his last. That was when he was meant to fight. Yeah.
Have they put the structure of the card? Is he co-main, or have they not really?
I don't know. I know. I
would've
think
thought
Jack
Catterall
Esssuman is the co-main.
Yeah.
He's
The co-main for the last fight. Mine, the first fight was Anthony Yard, Lyndon Arthur.
It was
4, 5, 6, 7,
14, I think it was, which was a joyous occasion.
Great.
No, I really enjoyed it because I went for an anti-yard points decision, and obviously I had a big bet coming on that went through that night. So I was
Gamble responsibly as well.
Yeah, I did.
Made it for
I
that
did gamble
again,
responsibly. So responsibly that any interviews you've seen on the channel have been recorded with the purchase made through that betting win. So
Look at that.
it makes you think.
Says a lot how much you want that night.
But yeah, so Adam
He's got the
Azim,
money.
Dalton Smith down the line would be a great. If Dalton Smith gets through Subriel Matias with a WBC belt round your waist, that is the point that Boxer and Azim go, yes, this is now the time to fight Dalton Smith. Because before it didn't make sense. You're not fighting Dalton Smith in what is a really difficult fight for a WBC silver or for a European or for anything else other than a world title. Now, if he gets it against Dalton, which obviously is a big if against Subriel Matias, then we're in business.
There's no excuse now, is it? For Adam Azim and Boxer and all them. And
We're moving quite far ahead though, because both fighters have fights.
Fights.
Yeah.
But have you seen the Sky Sports graphic, the Eddie Hearn's Christmas list from 2015?
No, I haven't.
Have you not seen it?
No.
Oh, you
don't zoom it,
that's
Scott.
Well, top of the Christmas list was Tyson Fury, Anthony Joshua. So that's 2015, going into 2016. I was just going to say that Adam Azim, Dalton Smith feels like it could be on his 2026 Christmas list, along with still.
And it was
Tyson
probably on his
Fury, Anthony
2024 Christmas
Yeah.
list as well.
And
I mean,
2023
they
probably.
were talking about it quite.
Yeah.
We're an old
extensively.
decade later, and we're still.
Mental.
Jack Catterall, Echo Esssuman. We talked about this when it was announced. This was like the first fight that was announced alongside this, and that is a belter of a fight. Really great fight.
I feel like it's either going to be a really good fight, or that fight that you get super excited for and is absolutely awful.
It's a great fight on paper, though, isn't it?
It should be.
regardless.
Yeah, because every time I watch it, I personally have never watched Echo Esssuman fight and not enjoyed it. Like the style of fighter he is and the way he fights is exactly the type of fights I like to watch. I like full action from the first bell to the last, of no stopping. But
The engine.
yeah,
But
I don't know. Sometimes you get a clash of styles, whether they work or not. But hopefully, it is a really entertaining fight. Meant to be. Hopefully, it's better than the co-main event of the last.
Yeah. I think regardless, though, both fighters will have to be at their best in this, right?
Yeah.
Because regardless, style-wise, Jack Catterall is probably going to box on the back foot, and Echo Esssuman's going to put on the pressure. If Echo Esssuman's going to beat him by putting on the pressure, he has to be really, really constant with that pressure, really relentless, and actually really smart as well. If Jack Catterall's going to win by being on the back foot, he has to be really sharp. He has to be really accurate. He has to be really switched on. And that's why I say I think it'll be an interesting fight. It might not necessarily be, for the full length of it, super entertaining, but whichever fight wins is going to have to be at his absolute best.
100%. And has he got a new trainer now? He's training over in the States, ain't he, Jack Catterall?
Yeah, Catterall's moved over to the States. Yeah,
So that's another interesting.
Is he training with Ozzy Ennis?
yes,
Catterall
he is.
training?
Yeah, because he was sparring with Boots recently. Yeah, he has.
That's some switch up, to be fair. But
Yeah. And it might bring out a different style or a tweaking of the style that allows him to just get over that line, because like every time we've said it, he's just been that little bit short, just that little tiny bit short. So yeah, we may well see him jump up. But I'm looking forward to the fight either way, because Echo Esssuman, brilliant fighter, so entertaining,
That
brilliant
Owen
story.
Keeper
Yeah.
fight. Just an
All of them, you
incredible
could
finish.
say any name. Ben Vaughan, I think it was as well. He thought it was an unbelievable bloody affair. All of those. Yeah, brilliant.
I'm looking forward to that. It's going to be a hard one to call, I think, to be honest.
Yeah, we have
I'm not
to do
looking forward.
predictions
I'm not
as
looking forward to the predictions.
Can we have like 10 minutes in between now? So we cut here.
No.
No.
No, unfortunately not. Sam Gilly, Ishmael Davis. Another good fight. Nice little 50-50. Ishmael Davis.
This is a title one.
I don't believe so. No, Ishmael Davis has been probably on,
Shouldn't be.
you'd say, a subpar run, but it's because he's taken some pretty difficult fights in a row. So I respect it for that. Sam Gilly, obviously an impressive record. Richard Riakporhe, Tommy Welch is an interesting one. Riakporhe's obviously done it at the very top. Tommy Welch has not done so, but is an undefeated up and coming, more of a prospect. So that's going to be really interesting.
Riakporhe's second fight at heavyweight as well, ain't it?
Yeah, I think
Who was he meant to be fighting originally? Riakporhe.
Joe
Or there
Joyce,
was
wasn't it?
rumours. Was there rumours of
it
Joe
was
Joyce?
something like Joe Joyce. Yeah, it was some big fight like that.
What a fight that would have been.
Yeah, and then you got Mikey Talon fighting a prospect
Good fight, though, Mike.
as well. Mikey Talon's really exciting. It's a good card, I think. We've criticised quite a lot cards. Particularly, I'll say I then. I have. Yeah,
I love that Parker.
I'm
Wardley
more
fight.
than happy to say we've had some stinkers this year, and as we get towards the back end of the year, this is a good card. Credit where credit's due.
2-week period has saved boxing in 2025, probably.
Yeah.
Well,
Pay-per-views.
we've got some good cards lined up for the back end of the year, not just with this, but the one the weekend after as well. That's another ring event as well.
Yeah,
so.
absolutely. And like we said, we'll get on to the predictions in a little while. Beforehand, guys, how are you going to pay for this fight? You can obviously pay for the pay-per-view. Or DAZN have launched their lovely new DAZN Ultimate. This isn't a sponsorship. I know it kind of sounded like it with my voice there.
Go on, give us all the numbers
We could
that
do
we
a
need.
sponsorship in all fairness if they want.
If they're offering, I can be flexible on my opinion. The
I can be
DAZN
slow.
Ultimate plan is £22.99 a month. So it's an annual installment. You can only pay annually. So it's 230 quid or 200,
You
30
can't
quid a
pay
year.
monthly.
I believe not, no.
That's me out there.
Which is valid until the 30th of November. So if you do between now and then, it's that much for the year. After that, it's £25 a month across the year. So 250 quid a year.
I'm trying to think. I think it's 120 quid a year for DAZN.
Mhm.
So you're telling me that mine subscription now
It's going to over double.
is yeah.
If you want to pay to get 12 pay-per-views per year included in your subscription. So in theory, if you're looking at it as a £20 pay-per-view, 12 pay-per-views, 240 quid on top of the 120 quid you pay already, £260, you save yourself about 120 odd pounds by paying for DAZN Ultimate. I think there will be people that this suits.
I wonder.
It's very similar to the recently announced Ring Pass. I don't know if those Ring...
That's what I was going to
I
say.
think so,
Whether the ring cards.
So that doesn't include the Ring pay-per-view cards then?
Well, we don't know. This hasn't been announced.
Okay.
But if the Ring Pass is a thing that's going to exist, you would presume to make that worth any money, this won't include the Ring card. So it'll be 12
Should have
sort
to
of...
pay for ring pay-per-view separate.
So you'll get your sort of Parker Wardley's cards like this. I don't know. Obviously, we don't know exactly what it looks like just yet. But as a concept, it seems to be to go back to what Ben said. Sports fans are getting ripped off. It's becoming very expensive to follow sport, ultimately. And this is not a boxing problem.
No.
This is a sporting problem.
TNT,
It's a everything problem.
32 quid a month for TNT, 40 quid a month for Sky Sports. This.
Yeah.
You're looking upwards of £1,000 a year on sport.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a lot of money.
I don't think boxing fans are going to be very happy if you pay, near £300 a year for that. You're not guaranteed. You don't know what those pay-per-views are going to be. So you could get some good pay-per-views. But there could be also a lot of pay-per-views thrown. They could essentially chuck the pay-per-view on any card they wanted to.
That's what I'm afraid that's what they probably do. They'll probably go
To just it's 12 pay-per-views a month, but they could have some bang average card. They go, oh, that's pay-per-view, by the way. That counts as one of your 12.
Yeah.
And also, the best cards, which are from the Ring magazine, are not included in your 12, and you've got to pay extra.
As far as we're aware, we don't know. Obviously, the presumption is that if they're included, then maybe it's just like...
I think it'd make it better if the Ring magazine cards are included. If not, then it's just even more money on top again.
Yeah, I think without trying to just kind of, go back over already sort of covered ground, which we covered a few weeks back in terms of, like we said, sports fans are getting ripped off continuously. I suppose the conversation comes to boxing's unique in the sense of the pay-per-view model isn't, or combat sports, the pay-per-view model is very different. A lot of casual fans come and go. Even the DAZN subscription in itself is sort of unique within the sporting broadcasting world. Do you think, and obviously we don't have the numbers, but do you not think if DAZN was far more affordable, that the number of people that would pay for it would increase enough to not have to, or is it a chicken and egg situation where not enough people are paying it, and so they're having to pass the cost on to keep doing what they're delivering, to keep the fans like us that will tune in week after week happy? You know, where do you think it is?
It's difficult because obviously from a business perspective, they gotta make a certain, like they can't just be running. They haven't just got an endless pot of money that they can just throw at cards. I understand that, but like you said, I suppose it's all well and good making it affordable enough for casual fans to keep dipping in, but then you haven't got the guarantee that those casual fans are always going to turn up. So, but then if you make it more expensive to cover your costs for the boxing fans like us that are gonna want to watch every fight, we are slowly going to start looking and going, I can't really justify paying that amount. Then you're losing out on both sides then, do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, and I think what we have to recognise, which I think we're quite, at times we don't do as kind of boxing fans in general, is realise boxing is not the biggest sport going. It's probably not quite as big as we think it is. And there's fights, you know, your Fury U6, you know, your Fury AJs, if we get it, that are huge. Canelo Crawfords, things like this. Eubank Benn the first time, huge, and they bring in this audience that are interested in boxing, but they are not by any means boxing fans. And it makes it seem like a huge sport, but I don't know how many people are tuning in every single week to DAZN subscriptions to watch, or DAZN events, to watch every Matchroom card, to watch every Queensberry card. So yeah, it's interesting, but it's another option, I suppose. You don't have to pay it. Is the to quote Frank Warren, if you don't want it, don't pay it. Yeah, I don't know where we stand on it, but that is certainly where we are at. Predictions?
Oh, I thought you were going to forget.
No, I never forget.
Who won last week as well? You know, we did a predictions thing for the Money Heist tournament for GBM. Who won?
It wasn't on the Boxing News app, so
doesn't count.
Unfortunately,
It's
no.
only because Sam's fighter went out in the first round, even though he was the fighter I wanted to pick as well.
Yeah. Pretty much.
Also,
this is not a double.
We think alike, see, because if it happened to me as well, I would be shutting you down straight away.
Absolutely, yeah. We have to maintain a standard, and obviously, you guys can get involved. If you guys do use the Boxing News app, let us know down below how you get on. See if you beat us, how you did it, or just look out for us on the leaderboard as well.
And then pick on us in the comment sections. Then.
Yeah, feel free.
Yeah.
Particularly this one.
Me?
Yeah.
Who was it that? Nah.
No. So Christ, I've just had to scroll past
how many fights?
Jake Paul versus Tank Davis on the Boxing News app still.
That was meant to be on Friday.
It was. You know, we've been robbed of some proper boxing this weekend.
Do you think that there's a possibility that by December they could have rescheduled Jake Paul's fight and he takes on Anthony Joshua?
Is there a possibility? Yeah.
Do you see it happening?
No, I don't see it happening.
Just imagine, like,
no, I don't.
That's bloody.
See it happening. Mike Talon versus Fezan Shahid, super flyweight 8-rounder. We'll start off with you, Ben. I think this one's gonna be pretty rudimentary.
Mikey Talon by decision.
Same.
Yeah.
Nice and easy. Richard Riakporhe, Tommy Welch, heavyweight 10-rounder. Tommy Welch obviously undefeated, stoppages in just over half. Riakporhe lost just the once to Chris Billum-Smith, moved up to heavyweight. I'm going to go for a Riakporhe points decision.
Riakporhe stoppage.
Yeah, I've gone Riakporhe stoppage as well.
Okay, so we're getting a different winner, or certainly it's going to be one of us or two. Sam Gilly, Ishmael Davis, super welterweight 12-rounder. Both fighters have been beaten, but who's going to win this one? Harry Tovey.
Well, Ishmael Davis seems to be the man in boxing that doesn't say no, and he hasn't been getting the results as of late. I think he gets the decision on Saturday night. Ishmael Davis by a close decision win.
What about you, Ben?
Yeah, I've gone the same.
So have I, actually.
Like Harry said, I think he's thrown himself into a lot of opportunities. He's not said no to anything, and it would kind of be nice to see him get his arm raised. I think he's not that saying anything against Sam Gilly, but I just feel like he's earned that special moment. Hopefully he gets it on the weekend.
100%.
Yeah, absolutely. Jack Catterall, Echo Esssuman. This is the really difficult one to call, Ben. You're going to have to call it first. Welterweight 12-rounder. Who are you having in this one?
I'm going with the Engine Echo Essman by decision.
Same.
Same year.
Are we all
Yeah.
going for it? Wow.
I
Catterall's
just
the
he's one of my favorite
favourite
fighters.
on the Boxing News app. Makes you
What do
think.
they know?
Adam Azim versus, it says Zaur Abdullayev on here, but as we know, it is not. It's Scobie. I'm going to go for an Azim points decision. I know Scobie has been stopped once in his only loss.
Adam Azim stoppage.
I'm going with Azim stoppage as well. I think they'll want him to look good on the big stage.
Yeah, I think they will want him to, but I reckon I always have a thing with Americans. I just imagine they're all really tough when they come over. I don't know why. Chris Eubank Jr, Connor Benn, the main event, the one that matters, the big one. It is, of course,
me.
Harry.
It is me, isn't it?
What a shame.
Well done, idiot. Right, this is so tough, and I do think it doesn't go the distance this time around. I do think we'll see a stoppage, and I think that with Bo Mack in his corner, we didn't even touch on that, mine. That Brian McIntyre is now in Chris Eubank Jr.'s corner, so that could be a massive difference, especially when he fought, what was it, Liam Smith in the rematch, wasn't it? Chris Eubank Jr. by stoppage.
Fair enough.
I think it's going to be a stoppage as well. But I'm going to make it interesting. I'm going Connor Benn by stoppage.
Wow. I like it.
Big and bold.
I just think he's going to land the big shot.
Unfortunately, I disagree. I'm going for, again, what I went for last time. The Eubank Jr. points decision.
Playing a
I think he's too smart. I don't think the Bo Mack's going to come into it too much. I think he could have Mr. Tumble in his corner. I think he'd win a points decision. So I'm confident on that one. I'm just going to do working out the rounds in my head.
Why do you take the round so seriously? Just do it randomly.
I beat you by it last time. I've actually not gone for a single stoppage in this.
Have you not?
No.
That's good for me, mate. Because I hope that the main event's on at like 10 o'clock on Saturday.
Yeah, it would be quite nice.
It would be lovely
if the
so I can get back.
If that happens. So you mentioned it, the Bo Mack. Ben's gone for a stoppage. Let's dig into that one a little bit. Why do you reckon he's going to get the stoppage?
That's what he went for the last time as well.
I feel they could drag this out further and get a trilogy.
Do you think Eubank Jr. is going to take a dive if he has a third payday?
That's not what I'm saying, but I just feel like it could be written
in the stars. Tiny Temper.
In terms of it already feels like it's got like a movie script.
Yeah.
Like this is a future movie in like 20, 30 years time where they do like a Hollywood film looking back at the two families and the history. And I think a good way to end it would be a trilogy, 1-1 between the two of them. I don't know. I said it in the first fight, to be fair. I went for Connor Benn in the first fight. I got it wrong. I thought he might land just that punch from the gods. But yeah, maybe it'll happen this weekend. I just want to keep it interesting, so I'm going to go.
Yeah. You're not boring like Sam with your predictions. You know.
Well,
Sam just goes with his head, not his heart some of the time.
I was supremely confident that Chris Eubank would win the first fight, and I was pretty confident that it was going to be via points decision. I thought he was going to be smarter. And actually, I think he got dragged into more of a fight than I thought he was going to. I think he traded with Connor more than I expected him to.
Did you put your prediction in the magazine?
No, he didn't. No, because it was about he didn't want it to happen. It hadn't even been announced when we wrote that piece.
With obviously a finish by decision last time, do you think maybe the thought of Chris Eubank wanting to make him more emphatic and try and push to stop Connor Benn might open him up to being caught with something?
Yeah, I do think it'll be a different fight than the first one, but I think ultimately he will and can settle for just outboxing him. So I think if it gets drawn into a fight, then he can reset. Whereas for Connor, I don't think he can fall back into another strategy. I think it is all guns blazing. I don't necessarily go out, and I think both guys were knackered and fighting on fumes for the last 4 or 5 rounds. And I think they might be a little bit smarter. I think it might be a little bit more tetchy, a bit more tentative than that in this one.
You say that and then it'll be a first round stoppage.
Yeah, quite
that would be
possibly.
Connor Benn's massive right hand.
But no, I think it will be, and so I think they will have more in the tank. I certainly think there's more. It's more likely to be a stoppage. Neither men had enough left to knock the other one out in that first fight. I don't think really. I think they, like I say, they were fighting on empty, and it shows that the two of them spent an extended period of time in hospital after the fight, which is easy to forget. You know, that was quite concerning. The level of dehydration, particularly for Chris Eubank Jr., was vast.
Really
So
lost
I certainly,
didn't he?
I certainly hope they get it. Yeah, but I mean, there's more important injuries than just losing a toenail, I suppose.
That was the headline from.
Tell that to David Hay or whatever it was with his toe. But I think, I think it'll be an interesting fight. But I do genuinely, and I think it almost goes without saying every fight, but more so with this one, I do just really hope both men come out okay.
Oh, 100%.
Because we've spoken about it at great length, both in the magazine, both on here, after the first fight, when the second fight was announced, that these guys are putting themselves, particularly Chris, is putting himself at a greater risk taking this fight and there was always a risk in boxing. And like you said, I just really hope this isn't the one time it goes wrong.
But he knows the risks this time now, Chris Eubank, don't he?
But the people around him know the risk, and they shouldn't.
Chris Eubank Jr. is not going to listen to those.
No, of course not. And I don't know. Yeah, it's his life, but I think there has to be a point where we say,
"What are we doing here?
What are we doing here?" Yeah. And I don't necessarily think we're at this point just yet, and I don't think it's extreme as that. But you do hope that obviously both men come through absolutely fine, and hopefully it's even just a portion as entertaining as that first fight. Because if it is, then we're in for something special.
And then we get the trilogy then next year.
Yeah. It's going to be the new Anthony Yard, Lyndon Arthur. It's just like 2028 is the year we go, not the 7th time.
Yeah.
But
if it's like anything like the first fight on Saturday night, we're going to be in for a treat.
Yeah.
Cannot wait for it.
Looking forward to it. If you guys are still sticking around with us, then let us know down below what you think your prediction is, how you think it's going to end, who you think is going to win. If you think the fight should be happening, any opinion you guys always just let us know down in the comments on Spotify or YouTube because
and Jack Catterall, Esssuman, because I feel like that's the other most competitive fight on the undercard. So it'd be interesting to see what people think.
If you don't have any opinion on the boxing, let us know what you're having for tea. Just let us know anything, whatever you want in the comments. It's always good to hear from you guys. Otherwise, stick around, subscribe if you haven't already, follow us on Spotify. If you prefer the audio versions, there's always content on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, all that good stuff. So stick around for that, and we'll see you all next week.
Punches chance. Punches chance podcast.